Vols are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! Spotted by Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back to Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now.
I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Reddit to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Thursday, March 9th, 2023. I say the year because I finally got it right on the graphic. Little victories here. Sorry we're a little late. This is a More Important Issues After Dark episode. We've got a great guest coming on. Very excited for that. Tennessee wins basketball. Moving on. Listen, we wanted the double bye, but if we're going to play today, we might as well win. That's how I see it.
Yeah, we just put another – we weren't going to get that win any other way, so might as well just get an extra one in the win column, right?
Why not?
John Wilkerson would love it.
We've got Evan Russell. Speaking of John Wilkerson, big baseball guy, we got Evan Russell coming on later. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Great interview, and shouldn't be any more. You should be able to hear him this time because we didn't mess up, I think. I won't promise.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have said that until after. But
we tried not to mess up. I'll say that.
Yeah.
We did try our best. We gave our all for Tennessee today, so hopefully so. We talk a little bit about Boston College this past Tuesday night with him, but we talk about the season as a whole, kind of where this team can go, but we'll kind of wrap it up as well. And another exciting weekend series coming up. It is a little chilly, so crowd may not be the best, but if you're there, get rowdy. Hornets Nest, right?
Oh, yeah. Always.
Yeah.
If
you got questions, drop it. It was, dude. It was a rowdy crowd, and it really got fired up. I think the umpire even had to go. I think third base umpire even took a jog out to left field. I don't know what he said, but he said something to some guys on the porches. I don't know what was going on. Yeah, I don't. They didn't seem upset with him, so I don't know what transpired, but he did make that jog out there during a timeout. So, we're trying to speed up the game, and the third base umpire is running out to left field. No big deal. If you got any questions, drop them in the chat. Let's talk anything you want to talk about. It's More Important Issues After Dark. This could go off the rails, and I'm excited for it. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Before we do that, though, I want to give a shout out to our really good friends over at Underdog Collectibles. Underdog is Knoxville's best sports collectibles store with a wide selection of UT cards, autographs, and memorabilia. Whether you're looking for a Peyton Manning autographed helmet or the most recent Topps baseball card release, you'll find it at Underdog. The shop is owned by UT graduates and proudly supports UT sports by hosting NIL events throughout the year. Stop by the University Commons Shopping Center next to Publix and Domino's to check them out. Open 6 days a week with live YouTube shows 3 nights per week. Remember to always bet on the Underdog. Shout out on Underdog Collectibles. Love them over there. Best in the business.
Awesome guys.
Opening up some great cards. I don't know if you've seen some of the latest that they've gotten into tonight or today. They were opening up some college football cards. I believe they got a Nolan Smith one. They did get a Will Levis. That stinks. But, yeah, some cool cards they've been pulling lately.
Yeah, and as you make your way to Lindsey Nelson this weekend, stop in and check them out. They got something for everybody. So go check them out right there in University Commons. So you can park. You can go in there. You're a paying customer, so you can park there and then walk to the stadium. Easy.
I'm not telling you to park there. I'm not that bold. But, yeah, listen to Landon, I guess. All right. Let's get right into basketball. It is SEC tournament time. Taking on the Music City. Good crowd other than that Vanderbilt fan. He doesn't get the honor of being a Tennessee fan. That was ridiculous. Don't care. It doesn't matter that your wife, whatever. Pick a side. Honestly, I think you're a Vanderbilt fan. Pick that side. I don't want you.
Yeah, what was the reasoning? I had to mute it, and thank God, because
he grew up a Tennessee fan, I think. He made it sound like he wasn't. He was like, my dad's a Tennessee fan. And then he's like, so I've been a Tennessee fan my whole life. I would just say I'm a Tennessee fan is how I would open that. Then he said his wife went to Vanderbilt. So, yeah.
I guess.
I don't understand. But yeah,
My wife went to Arkansas State. I'm not out here supporting Butch Jones.
it's a good point. It's a good point. Would you support him if Butch Jones wasn't the coach? Would you be a Red Hawks, I believe?
Red Wolves.
We talked about this. Are we sure? We talked about this in Vegas. We sat around. One of the just guys
It's
being
the Red Wolves. I know it is.
Okay. We talked about it. They used to be like, I think they are the Red Wolves. I think we talked about this, and I think one of the quizzes I took, Sporkle quizzes, said Red Hawks, and it was wrong. Maybe that was it. But yeah. Anyways, let's talk Nashville. I'm going to be honest, and not that Tennessee didn't start off well. I think Rick Barnes mentioned it. They were on pace to score 80 points. I just thought their game against South Carolina, I thought they looked confident, and a team that's playing with an interim coach with nothing to lose, with talks of another coach being hired, I think are scary teams. They're playing for that guy on their bench.
Sure.
And this game is a little. I mean, we just know it. That's another part too. Tennessee can lose any game. So I was a little worried about this. They did get the short end of the stick. I don't understand why a team that plays last night has to play at 3 p.m. today. Didn't they play they were the 7 p.m. game, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't really make much sense, but whatever.
Don't have to play that first round, I guess.
Right. So you had that, you had that going for you, but I mean, I thought Tennessee responded from their mistakes well, and I mean, it sucks because I feel like you point at that win and you're like, see, that's what Tennessee could be.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they went on that run to end the half, and they kind of dominated from then on. I think when Josiah hit that three, you felt like it was kind of in the bag. Like you didn't think Tennessee was going to lose that game. Now, I guess the battered ball syndrome, maybe anything can happen, but you felt like Tennessee was in control. Even, being down 7 to Tennessee is like you're down 20.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, Tennessee gets up 12 at one point. Whittles it back. Ole Miss whittled it back down to 3 or 4. Can't remember off the top of my head. I have to look at this game summary there, but whittles it back down. But yeah, then Tennessee jumps out to a 14-point lead, and I think that's the team the thing that's gonna benefit this team in March. Is that I mean, and they have to do this, and where they can go on longer, more sustained runs than the opposing team. Because from, like you said, from that mark in the first half, or as the first half ended, Ole Miss was they never felt like they were back in it, because you limited those runs that they could go on. So you do have to find a way to do that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think they're second worst in 3-point percentage, and Ole Miss was 4. They started the game out 4 for 4. It just felt like a game that was like, when the game started, it just felt like, oh, of course, we run into, Sister Jean, the Cinderella team, the SEC tournament. But then I think they went 1 for 7 the rest of the half. So it turned around pretty quick. And Tennessee was hot from 3. It wasn't just Ole Miss. And maybe that game is a lot different if Tennessee isn't able to come out and hit shots and kind of match what Ole Miss did. But Tennessee just kind of put it away in the second half with their defense. Kept the turnovers to a minimum, which it was weird because we doubled them in turnovers, but we still won by 15 points. I'm not sure many teams do that.
Yeah, I don't know how many points they had off turnovers. I'd have to go and find that, but they were able to capitalize off several of those too, which isn't normally good. And like you mentioned, somehow Tennessee wins by 15, 19-19 at one point in the first half, and it felt like Tennessee's defense just got better from there. And so that's a positive. I hope that carries in. I really don't know what to make of this team, and I think that's the case for a lot of people because I just don't know what you're going to get on any given night. If you have the defense you had, yeah, and I know Ole Miss isn't the best team. I mean, it pisses me off that they do the seedings on ESPN because Ole Miss should never have a number 13 next to this team's name, ever. It's the dumbest thing ever. Don't do that. But I know they're not good. But, I mean, holding any team to 55 points in an SEC play is pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the defense stood out in the second half. I think another weird stat, they had 17 fast break points. We had 2.
I don't understand Tennessee's fast break points. I was going to bring that up. Someone posted, I think on VolQuest maybe, Tennessee had like 75 points and 75 fast break points in SEC play. I don't understand how a team can play such good defense and not score on the break. I don't get that.
Well, I mean, most of it comes from I know we get a lot of steals and stuff, but it's usually like we don't get out and run after those steals. It's not like we're jumping passing lanes. It's usually we're picking their pocket. And
I think part of that is too is a lot of your guys in your backcourt too are smaller guys. You have Zakiah and Vescovi who aren't really able, and then Jamal Meshack who's just not excellent. Trying to go score that makes it more difficult. I mean, your only guys that are probably going to go and challenge guys at the hole are Julian Phillips and Josiah Jordan-James. And when they get steals, I guess they normally do. They're probably where a lot of those fast break points come.
Yeah, and you're kind of talking about earlier the how you don't know what to make about this team. The good thing about that is I don't know what to make of any team.
Yeah,
there's no team that just they're for sure going to be in the Final Four. I mean, I think the NCAA tournament, I mean, I guess as much as every year it's kind of up for grabs, but I think this year is a different animal in regards to that because I truly do not know a single team that I'm confident putting in the Final Four.
No, I definitely agree with that. And like you said, that definitely carries pros and cons because Tennessee isn't one that I think you could ever even pencil in there. You don't want that eraser on your bracket. But, I mean, I think some of the best teams in college basketball, Alabama, for example, they have their struggles. They struggle inside. And the night they're missing shots, how many second chance points are they going to get? And you're going to miss shots at some point in March, and you got to find ways to overcome that. Houston, who's probably been the most consistent, they just haven't played the best opponents, and they still have had weird moments throughout their season. So you just don't know really what to make of them. And then to be fair to some of these Big 12 teams, Big 12 is one of the basketball conferences that really beats up on each other. So I think it is kind of hard to judge, but one of your best teams in Kansas, Tennessee obviously has the ability to beat, which means there's a lot of teams that have the
against the Big 12, baby.
Right. Exactly. So I mean that is that makes that pretty interesting. And then I mean you'll find out some of these Big East schools that the Big East, I always feel like you watch their conference tournament and there's going to be two teams that make a run in the tournament. It's just like I don't know if run's right. They play in the second weekend at least, I should say. Mm-hmm. Just feels like there's always those two teams. Villanova's probably that team this year. Yeah. Gonzaga's this is probably gonna be the year Gonzaga makes a run at least to the Final Four. Might be Mark Few's year because I mean normally they dominate the regular season and can't finish. So maybe this is it.
I don't know, man. They are bad.
How much are you gonna hate yourself if Drew Timme wins a national championship?
I'll lose I'm done. Done watching college basketball if Drew Timme wins a national championship this year. But it was good to see the veterans in Santi and Josiah just kind of show out and be the dominant players that they should be, not in and not out. And Vescovi's kind of, I know Josiah's dealt with injury and Vescovi's kind of carried us, but it's nice to see those shots go in early. And I think everybody, it just kind of comes contagious at that point. Mm-hmm. I think having somebody else besides Santi hit a three, I think that only helps Santi out. He's like, oh, okay, I don't have to come up and shoot a three. Somebody else can make one on the team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's got to alleviate some. And I think, too, that goes kind of into a point where – and Rick Barnes mentioned this, too, in the postgame. I don't know if you still had it muted then with Marty Smith, how this team is kind of difficult because you don't know what you're going to get from guys every night. It's different guys, and so they just have to kind of find the right formula that's going to work that specific night. Obviously, I think to win, you need Vescovi to play well, minimum, no matter who the other two or three guys are. I think now that Zakiah's down, I think it's got to be Tyreek Key too. And I know you won without him tonight, quote unquote. I mean, 3 points he didn't score until late in the game. But I think this game is probably well in hand earlier if he's playing better. And I think you're going to need him come tournament time. Jemai Meshack just can't produce on the offensive end like Zakiah could, so you need that production made up somewhere. And I think he's a guy that's going to have to find a way to be more impactful like he was in November, December.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it's Olivier. And if there's any time in your Tennessee career to find some consistency, now's the time.
I don't trust any of our bigs. Sorry.
Yeah, I hate to kind of be that way, but I feel like he is your most polished offensive player that is a post. And I think he can give you some mismatches. Where it's like they're not able to just throw some random, big guy in there and you're going to shy away and not do anything like you did against Auburn in the second half. But, I feel like he can give you something. And we've seen it throughout the year. I mean, Texas, he scores, 27 points. If he can find some sort of – which he played well today. Didn't have a huge game, but enough offensive production to alleviate some of the work from Solon.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, you definitely do need a big man. I can't disagree with that. I just don't trust him enough to please just play well defensively, get rebounds. Like, that's all I really ask for.
Yeah. That's fair. And that's – dude, I love watching Tobe Awaka. I mean, that dude is a tank. He looks like he's gotten – I mean, I'm sure it has to do with him just being in a weight program, but it seems like he's just gotten bigger as the season's gone.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean,
he's a guy that
threw a guy off of him to grab a rebound.
He's a guy too that speaking of, time to start playing well, I mean, he's so physical that I think if you could get quality offensive play out of him, that would be the best situation for your basketball team in March. I think that would be the best option if he somehow found it. I don't bank on him finding it. I think that's unfair to necessarily ask that, but if he somehow did, holy crap, look out.
Yeah, and Ole Miss isn't going to really hurt us inside. I think their biggest guy's like 6'8", and we destroyed them on the boards. And it wasn't just our bigs; it was everybody. Josiah and Santi had big days on the glass, but I think we won it 38-20 something.
22, yeah.
So,
which is so weird. It really, I need to look at offensive rebounds. It just felt like we only grabbed 9. It just felt like we could not get any. Or many, I should say, second chance points. It really did feel like they were scrapping on those boards. So, I mean, 9's pretty good. I'm not discrediting what we did, but it just did not feel like a ton of second chance points.
Yeah. Yeah, probably should have got more, especially against them. But, he shot 47%. So, most of your misses,
not as many
anyway. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a normal night where you're bricking everything so you can get some more offensive rebounds. I'd rather not have offensive rebounds. If that's what it takes, I'd rather not.
Fair point. Are we if we somehow shoot better at all these neutral sites, I'm going to be a little upset, but at the same time, how can you be? It just felt like, and it shouldn't be this way. It felt like Tennessee just could not hit shots in Thompson-Boling Arena this year. I don't know what our percentage was. I mean, especially at the free throw line, they couldn't, but it just really did not feel like that was our arena at all. I mean, that should be where you're most comfortable. That's where you practice. That's where you shoot the most. I don't know what it was.
Well, and kind of another good thing of where we're at in the season is like, you don't have to play at anywhere else. Like, you're not on the road anymore. And Tennessee, I think, lost 4 of their last 5 road games to end the season. I mean, that's where I'm just like, glad that's over because, hopefully this team finds one good thing about this SEC tournament is like, this team's been there before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most of those guys had an impact in last year's run. And, hopefully this is something to kind of keep them going.
I mean, all your starters.
I think we kind of rode that high all the way through the SEC tournament and it just dropped off for the NCAA tournament. Hopefully we weren't on too much of a high to have a high now and just keep it going through the NCAA tournament. That's
and not – I mean, obviously I'd rather make a run in the NCAA tournament if I had to choose, but I wouldn't mind finding a way to get back-to-back. That wouldn't bother me at all.
Here's a question. Would you rather win the SEC tournament championship or would you rather make the Elite Eight?
It's a good question. I don't know. It would be nice to hold an SEC championship over Kentucky fans' heads. but Kentucky fans are also too stupid to argue with. So that makes it difficult. You can't tell them that, hey, we beat you and a chance that you had to beat us. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Final Four banners are really cool, but they're not championships. And if you get to the Elite Eight, I mean, you're not even getting to the Final Four. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Here's the thing: those first couple weeks of the tournament is going to be electric if Tennessee's winning. We're going to the Elite Eight.
I think this year, because it's back to back, I think I'd rather get that back to back. But you also have to tell me we at least make it to the second weekend. Like, I have to be playing in the Sweet 16. That's my caveat.
Yeah, we
can't get bounced in game one.
You would definitely rather make the Elite, guarantee your spot in the Elite Eight, than win and lose in the second round. To win the SEC tournament and win and lose in the second round. Yeah,
I want at least Sweet 16. I need at least a Sweet 16. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I mean, yeah, I think winning in March is fun, no matter what. So, yeah, I think getting that back to back would be cool. But like I said, unfortunately, they're just too dumb to argue with. They don't understand that. They'll be super proud of their SEC championships, but when other people win them, they somehow don't matter anymore.
Right. And looking at the SEC, there were some good games. Like, the first couple of games were really good. I know Tennessee kind of ran away with theirs. We had Florida and Mississippi State go to overtime today. I'm trying to think of who else played. Who's the game after us? Arkansas?
I turned it off then. Oh, that sounds right. What am I? I'm looking at the wrong schedule right now. I have it right here. I'm so sorry. That was Arkansas and Auburn, yeah.
Who won that game?
We've been going at it since then, so I haven't had a chance to check.
Mississippi State beat Florida by 69-68. That was the game before us. That's why I got moved back, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's why I got pushed back. Arkansas beat Auburn.
Arkansas beat Auburn?
Wow. 76-73.
So Auburn's probably done.
Yeah, where were they out on? Were they bubble team coming in?
Yeah, I know that win against us probably helps them, but losing in the second round in the conference tournament did not help them.
And their first game, they didn't even get a win in the conference tournament either.
Yep.
And then LSU and Vandy play. Right. I don't know when that Arkansas Auburn game ended, but they were slated to play at 9. It doesn't look like it started yet, but I can't tell. ESPN may just not updated.
Yeah, I can't find it on here. Yeah, I don't think it started yet. It has not. It has not started. Well, Tennessee plays Missouri tomorrow. What time is that game?
It is. It'll be at it's 30 minutes after.
It's at 3.
The first game, and the first game's at noon. So I would guess around 3 is my guess. Yeah.
Well, another tough day to kind of work. But.
Yeah, I think Alabama too. I think they've got to be on upset alert right now. They struggle with Mississippi State, and I mentioned they don't. And that was at home, and Mississippi State really played well inside the paint with Alabama. And if they're able to do that again, I think it's going to be a struggle of a game. So I'm interested to kind of see what happens there. Alabama's obviously a really good basketball team, and they have a great chance to win it. But I think it's an interesting matchup for sure.
So a guy that I'm friends with is at the SEC tournament, and I'm tweeting him right now, be careful being in the same building as Brandon Miller.
Well, yeah, I mean, just don't go near his car. Apparently he didn't leave his car, so I think you're fine. Just if you see any Dodge Chargers, walk the opposite direction.
Wrong place, wrong time.
What about Rick Barnes kind of coming out with that? And there's an argument to be made for responsible gun ownership, but I think at that age, and maybe his rule wasn't completely laid out. He just said no guns and no violence, especially against women. I'm sure he doesn't mean like you can't go hunting, but if you're around campus, if you're going to a bar and you have a gun, I don't think anything good's going to come from that. And I don't mind that rule. I mean, you got to be smart. And if you're in a place that you think you need a gun, you probably shouldn't be there as an 18, 19-year-old kid.
Yeah. I can't think of any place that I've been where I'm like, yeah, I need a gun to go in here.
especially a place that I'm like going to eat or going to hang out. Like, no, I don't think I would be there. And I think I don't think enough criticism has been brought to Nate Oates in the sense of just he's the coach. He brought Brandon Miller to Alabama. I mean, maybe it's different in this era of NIL and stuff.
Well, he didn't win SEC Coach of the Year, which I thought was hilarious.
But I mean, your job is to be their guide and mentor. Like I know the term kid is kind of loose with an 18-year-old, but they're barely adults. I mean, they're still going to make dumb decisions, and you should have things in your program that help them. And it doesn't seem you did. And I'm even to the point of like, if you're from where I can look at Brandon Miller, like, I don't know, I'm not willing to stand up here and go, he should be charged with something because I don't know the laws and I don't know. But the fact that he won't even come out and say, hey, he wasn't making great decisions, we had a discussion, that's not going to happen again. Like, he won't even take the Nick Saban route of internal discipline. I think it's a little troubling if I'm a parent and I care about my kid and I want to send him to go under Nate Oates. Like, that's troublesome.
Well, and Nate Oates kind of put I guess is a little pun intended, but kind of put a little target on his back. No one wants to see them win a national championship. No one wants to see Brandon Miller win a national championship because of Nate Oates. It's not really because of what Brandon Miller did. It was the fact that Nate Oates didn't do anything about it.
He won't put any responsibility on anyone. I mean, not even himself. And I think that would be even more respectable if he said, I wasn't doing my job, and I wasn't being the head of the program, and I was because the fact of the matter is, they want to say Miles is injured, wasn't really on the basketball team anymore, yada, yada, yada. He was a basketball player at Alabama. So I don't know. I get it. You can't necessarily take responsibility for that in terms of you don't want to be punished by the law for any reason, but I just think you could have done a better job of pretending like you care about these guys.
Oh, so this is funny that this just popped up. Congrats to Coach Oates, who has been named a finalist for the Jim Phillum Coach of the Year award.
Yeah, that came out today, or yesterday, one or the other. So I don't know. Maybe he gets it, but whatever.
I mean, he wasn't even top 2 in the SEC, right? It was
which is interesting. Yeah, I don't know how Missouri coach, whatever his name is, I don't know how he doesn't win that.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat because Stackhouse was like on the hot seat, and I wouldn't say like he did enough this year to say his seat isn't hot next year either.
I think Buzz Williams and Jerry Stackhouse had impressive years, and I'm not saying they're not deserving of the award. I just think there's at least a third guy who is. I don't know how that voting works, and I don't know where their heads were at when they made those votes.
New coach, a bunch of new players on that roster. I mean, and he turned it into a top 4 team in the SEC, a fringe top 25 team. I don't think anybody was counting Missouri as a. I think most teams in this league would count them as hey, that's an easy win.
I think the same thing can be said for A&M too. I hate Buzz Williams. You've heard me rant about him, but he's done a good job.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say I hate Buzz Williams. I hate the way he acts on the sideline.
I hate his vest.
Just put on a jersey if you're going to stand on the court. Good. Go full baseball manager and do it.
I mean, he's wearing a vest. It's basically a jersey.
Just go no shirt underneath.
Yeah.
Sleeveless, baby.
Yeah. That's kind of all I got for basketball.
Yeah.
I am kind of excited. I don't know what to expect for Tennessee, but I do think Tennessee has as good of a chance as a lot of teams to make a run in the tournament. And I do think having Josiah and Santi play the way they did, it tells me that team is not done. It tells me that team does not want their season to end anytime soon, and I hope that is the case.
Hopefully, yes. All right, we are now going to bring on a very special guest. We're excited to bring him on. This is we'll call this a makeup game for the last time. Hopefully our connection's better here. If not, I guess he'll just have to come on a third time. I don't know. Maybe fourth, fifth. We'll keep trying. No, hopefully, we love Evan Russell, and great ambassador for the University of Tennessee. We mention it, but holds a career record games played for in a Tennessee jersey. So all-time Vol. We appreciate him. Here's Evan Russell.
Evan Russell, baby. Woo! What's up, everybody? We welcome on to the show Evan Russell, VFL, and we're here to talk about some baseball. That's what we're here to do. Baseball, baseball, baseball. It's baseball season. We're ready for it. I just saw where Ben Joyce is dominating the Team USA, so gotta love all that. So, Evan, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on.
I felt bad the last time. It was just a hodgepodge of just mess. So I definitely wanted to rewrite that and get you back on. So, because everybody was like, dude, I couldn't hear anything. I was like, I know, I'm sorry. Like, it's my fault. I'm terrible at production. So,
Well, anytime you're dealing with technology, you're going to run through some of that stuff.
Yeah,
but I'm glad you were able to get me back on and get this thing going.
So, you watched the game on Tuesday. I guess the first question for me is, how often do y'all practice base running?
Well, that's the thing is they probably are practicing base running every day. And, you know, the coaches, they're writing off checklist of what they're practicing on. I mean, they're covering all the basics and in-depth of leadoffs to jumps to reads and et cetera. So they're definitely putting in the time. Now, clearly it did not show Tuesday, and it's sort of been a struggle all season for these guys. But I think they're dealing with a lot of turnover from last year, not dealing with the experienced guys and sort of just figuring out that practicing base running compared to naturally being a good base runner and doing it in a game, there's a big difference.
Yeah, I've kind of thought that the whole time. It's like you can see the struggle of it a little bit. Like there's talent, obviously, but it's like I guess y'all benefited. I know 2020 sucked, but it also benefited you guys because you still like kept intact that nucleus from past years. So you always had you, Luke, and Beck and Gilbert and Redmond. All those guys got to stay. And so it just seems like there's a little bit of maybe getting their feet wet and actually playing with one another, which they haven't really gotten to do.
Yeah, and that COVID year, it hurt a lot of things when it comes to a lot of people's draft projections and things like that. But it developed a year of just practicing and being in the system for a lot of our guys, and that's something that the guys now don't have the luxury of having. They're basically going back to normal and ISME fifth year guys and things like that. So the finer details that we were able to really master last year because we were a bunch of older guys, you're going to see them struggle a little bit this year, and they have. But I think it will progress the more that they do fail and understand that they have to take care of those things.
Sure.
And my first question is not really, I mean, it's obviously related Tuesday night, but not just Tuesday night. Kind of learning how to win. You obviously came to Tennessee when winning wasn't necessarily expected. I think it was 2021, I guess, when you guys got the nickname Heartache Kids. I mean, you had that, was it 9 walk-offs that year? Is that how many?
Oh, yeah.
There's quite a bit.
And then obviously the famous Gilbert one there at the regional. What does it take to is it literally just you got to grind through some of these tough losses, find ways to get tough wins? I mean, Tennessee's already had 3 this year. Is that just kind of the you trust the process kind of deal?
Yeah, I think that everything kind of snowballs. I think it can snowball positively, or I think it can go the opposite way. And seeing guys like Jared Dickey in a big time situation the other night, he did what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't clicking on all cylinders for the team. And I think that they put themselves in the situation to win that game. And that's just how it works. That's how they're going to have to fight through these tough times and figure out how to close those games out, the ones that you're not even necessarily supposed to win, but you have plenty of opportunities to. So seeing them struggle right then, but understand that they had plenty of chances to win that game, I think that is where they need to take the positives of it, opposed to looking at it negatively and thinking that, that's going to be the normal of losing those games when I think that they've developed a culture of winning the close ones over the years past.
So is there anything that really pops out to you in terms of this team is like, man, if our team would have had that, it could have been a lot different?
Yeah, I really think if we would have had a second-year Blake Burke, it would have been much different. It would have helped a ton, which
pretty good.
The dude was clearly showing some flashes of excellence last year, but he's a completely different dude now. I think, to be honest, I think that Charlie Taylor defensively back there now is it's better than I was able to provide last year with the offensive side. It's to be determined, but I think that having a more established defensive catcher and more established arms on the mound definitely is something that they have progressed in. And they're more talented when it comes to athletic at the shortstop and the second base position. You know, Jarrell and Cortland, they did a fantastic job last year when it comes to making the routine plays and supplying a lot of power and some big time hits. But I think Maui and Christian Moore are able to be a little more athletic at that position. And you know, I think they have a bit more upside, but you know, that's all to be determined.
I want to flash back to Blake Burke real quick. Tuesday night, what were your thoughts when he turned to go 3? Were you a whoa guy? Or?
Yeah, he wasn't really blowing my eyes or blowing the doors off the place by his speed. And I don't think he's known for that. But as he was turning, I trust his judgment. But I was kind of shocked if he was going to get there or not, to be honest.
Yeah, it was close.
That wasn't the most impressive triple I've ever seen.
Yeah, he should be very confident in his hitting abilities. But when it comes to stealing bags, I don't see him making a career out of.
Know your role. I did want to ask you about the catchers and Charlie Taylor and those guys. So Cal Stark had the collision the other night. What have you seen from the catchers? And also, like, as far as collisions go, like, y'all ever practice anything like that, or is it just kind of like you just get used to it, or y'all out there like Happy Gilmore, just like in the batting cages, just taking it off the chest, or how is that?
We definitely never really practiced much collision wise. We would have some situations where we would try to have kind of a rough slide and things like that. But it's almost like the mentality of behind the plate that you want to deliver the blow opposed to getting the blow. And, you're constantly in competition. So at the end of the day, would you rather yourself get hurt or the opposing player, which you don't want anyone else to get hurt. But if you have that mentality of not being too passive, usually the collisions can be avoided. And so that was something that was sort of preached into the mentality. But when it comes to the catchers, I think the catchers have done fantastic when it comes to controlling the game, taking care of your pitchers defensively and stuff. But now it's sort of trying to figure out the role of the team offensively from that position.
So were you the best football player on the baseball team? Could you feel confident in saying that?
When it comes to laying the blow on defense, I don't know if anybody else has the highlights that I had, whether they would make an argument or not. But Drew Beam probably had a better career.
Oh, yeah, he's QB1.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty good. And I'm pretty sure if Jordan Beck would have decided to play football, he could have blown anything that I ever done out of the water. But no, I would say that I could put my huddle highlights up against a lot of people.
There you go. I need to Google that. I Googled you before because I'm just interested. Like, when I Google myself, like it's like an old man somewhere in like Massachusetts. But when I Googled you, it pulled up and I saw you were number 4 and you had the little whatever that picture was, but you had the football out. So what position did you play?
Yeah, I never really came off the field. I was pretty pretty excited to always be, on the offensive or the defensive side. I enjoyed football. I probably liked football a little more than baseball in high school, to be honest. But I never projected at all as a collegiate football player. So I had the luxury of winning the West Tennessee Defensive Player of the Year, so I was a pretty versatile guy when it comes to playing some safety, dropping back or dropping into an outside linebacker role, just anything, sort of a rover type player on defense. But I truly enjoyed contact, and I think that's what translated to me being able to pick up the catcher position a little easier.
We could have used you during spring practice. Josh Heupel was low on linebackers.
They would have abused me. I would have been the tackling or the practice dummy out there. Yeah, man. After seeing some of those guys walking around in the athletic dining hall and things like that, there is no chance I would have strapped up on the pads with them.
So when you played catcher and you realized how much contact there was, were you kind of regret ever playing in the outfield in college? You could have been doing that the whole time.
Oh, I 100% regret not making that transition earlier, but I think it was like the third week of my catching season. I took a ball off the collarbone and it fractured my collarbone, and I didn't have to miss any time doing it, but man, it crushed me whenever it came to throwing for the rest of the year. But after that moment, I was definitely not too excited about going to catch Chase Dollander and Ben Joyce. Whenever I knew if that hit again, it was not fun.
Well, the good thing in the outfield, you made plenty of contact with walls in your time too.
That's the thing. I had to separate myself when it comes to the contact, because guys like Seth Stevenson, Drew Gilbert, they could run down the ball twice as far as I could. So I had to separate myself and try to provide something in the outfield. But I think they got much better defensively whenever they put me behind the plate.
Did you ever get called off contact in practice? I think we heard a story after Drew Gilbert got injured. I don't know if that was I don't know when that happened throughout the season for him last year, but we heard a story about Tony Vitello saying he had to call him off the wall a couple of times in practice. Did they just kind of let you go at it, or?
Yeah, I wasn't nearly as valuable as the 4-hole first rounder, but oh man, Drew, he would no joke try to tear that wall down to just get a ball. He told me one time that his mentality, if you ever threw like a frisbee or something to a golden retriever, no matter what, that golden retriever was going to catch it, try to catch it. And that's what he said his mentality was, even in practice. And I believe it, man. He would get after it, and I think that's what made him such a good player. And I think that anyone that is wanting to play outfield at a high level, you've got to develop that at a young age for you to really be the best that you can be.
So we had a question submitted anonymously, and I want to ask it to you. So it says, what was it like rooming with Jared Dickey on the road, and why was he such a big part in the success of your career?
Jared Dickey was he was the calming piece before the storm, especially whenever he was hurt. Knowing that before he was hurt, whenever he was producing at a super high level, I was almost trying to get some tips from him, see what he was doing at the plate. But having a guy like Jared Dickey, you see him on the field. He's a versatile guy. He does everything. He did that as a roommate as well. So he's one of my best friends, and it's super cool to see the success that he's having.
So is he bring the snacks, or what kind of a roommate is he?
Well, we had to be careful with the snacks because I think it was like 2 years ago he's pretty heavy.
He was unrecognizable.
Yeah. So he had to. I'm pretty sure he had to be careful with the snacks for himself. So
he was eating rice cakes.
And clearly, the dude he looks much more athletic now, but I'm sure he probably does deal with. If you ever watch The Office, of a couple of the people denying the food in one episode and being consumed with it because of their past, I could see Jared Dickey messing around and pulling like a skit like that. But
is he White Goodman? He shocks himself with pizza in front of him.
Yeah.
I like the idea of maybe y'all on the road trip. You got to stun. You throw one of the dog collars on him, keeping him away from the snacks.
He brings in like a bag of Skittles just to like show that he's not going to eat them.
He's kind of got that like that psychopath mentality a little bit.
He's a hard worker, man.
Dude, when last night he was up to bat in that ninth inning. I mean, it was his dream come true to step up to the plate. My mentality be like, dang, please let the guy in front of me get a hit or strike out or something because I don't want to hit. But Jared Dickey he was ready to go. And the way that he acted during, when they were reviewing that home run, I mean, he just looks like a silent killer.
Yeah, I think he was wanting to try to convince those umpires into making that a home run. It didn't look very, very much fair to me during the game. I mean, it was a well-hit ball, but
yeah,
that's his mentality. He's a winner. And, he wants to be in those situations. And clearly that's why he's so good and because he's so competitive and he wants to win in those little things. And I think that comes from him going through some struggles in his personal life along with being a redshirt his freshman year and things like that. So I think it's almost a forced killer mentality just for going through all that failure.
Yeah, go get yours. I like that.
What do you think about this? I want to ask about the pitching staff. Obviously, you worked close to them last year, just right out of the gate. I mean, they've pretty much done their jobs. Obviously, what are your thoughts early on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Chase Dollander and Chase Burns are just stupid talents. But I look at Drew Beam and I see sort of the ability that he was throughout the beginning of the year and sort of a little downcline, not much because he still had great numbers, but you could see the velocity go down a tad in the last year. And I think that comes from a little fatigue coming off injury and things like that. But Drew Beam has really impressed me with his velocity, his composure still, and he's developed a new cutter that looks like one of his go-to pitches now. So clearly there's been some work in the offseason from him, and I think he's only going to improve throughout the year. And I just think this entire starting role is a super polished starting rotation. And I think the sky's the limit for them. But I think the key for them is going to be just to stay healthy and to be available in the postseason. And I think if they are, I think they have a decent shot.
Yeah, and Camden Sewell coming back soon, that's only going to help that bullpen, which is already pretty nasty. But, I mean, it just gives you another veteran in that group.
Yeah, and it gives them another option to close a game like yesterday or a Tuesday, which, I think Seth Halverson came in and did fine. I think he gave up. He made a couple mistakes, but that's all it takes in those big situations. But he's got the ability to hold down that role, but having an experienced guy like Camden Sewell come in and at least give them another option late in those games is going to be huge.
Yeah, and speaking
go ahead.
Question about Camden Sewell, we're talking Gator killer. So I know we asked this question last time just to make sure everybody can hear the full story. I don't know if you were the ringleader of the donning of the Gator helmets, the white Gator helmets, but you certainly looked like it. So I think we're going to give you credit for it. How did that kind of come about? And do you regret it? I think that's
Well, I was definitely going to regret it if the guys didn't take care of business in the fall. But, luckily, I did not have people able to use that over my head. But, no, I think it was cool. I think it was fun. And there's no surprise that it's a rivalry going on with Tennessee and Florida.
Yeah.
So, anytime we had a chance to sweep a good team at their place, it might have been a little rubbing it in, but it was all in good fun. And
were they just sitting out in the open, just free game?
Yeah. So they put us, they put us in a spot to change clothes before we went home, and they had boxes just full of them that were opened. And, we might have put them on and done some skits and stuff just to mess around. Just things that college kids would do, but probably should have left the phones out, but it was just hearing some negative talk while I was catching and stuff. Kind of wanted to rub some dirt on that wound.
No, I think you did the right thing. We've got memes forever now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legend. And you grew up a Tennessee fan, so you've always hated Florida. This isn't just when you're at Tennessee.
Yeah, no, that's always been a thing. And before I even got there, Florida was a powerhouse in
Yeah,
baseball,
right.
so getting the chance to go in there and put it on them a little bit and then also rub some salt on the wound. It helps that I wasn't playing the next year either. So,
Yeah.
that was
They couldn't
the
get you
end
back.
of, yeah.
So as a hitter, I'm interested to see kind of what that mentality is like, because obviously, like, the dudes that you're playing against are insane. The pitchers, they can throw 95 right past you, but they can also throw an 80-mile-an-hour curveball. So when you're in the box, like, what's your thought process on, like, are you guessing, or is it just like see it out of their hands and swing, or what's that kind of like?
Yeah, so my approach was a little different than most of the other guys on my team. I was very mentally in the game to where I was doing whatever I could to pick up on tendencies and things like that of the pitcher. So, guys like Drew Gilbert and Jordan Beck, they were talented enough as hitters to be able to be sitting on a pitch and react to something else. I really, over my time in college, I sort of picked up on that I wasn't talented enough to do that. And I was sort of playing chess with the pitchers of trying to figure out what they were doing to me as a hitter. So let's say if a guy was throwing, if he was ever behind in the count, he was trying to dump in a slider to even it up or get back ahead. I was constantly watching the game and looking at it as a pitcher and seeing what I would do to myself. So that was sort of my approach to it. It's kind of a complex approach when it comes to the mental part. You also have to worry about not thinking about everything too much and still being an athlete. But when it comes to having a plan, going in there and trying to execute it, and basically playing a live game of chess is what I would call it, and trying to be one step ahead of the guy. That was sort of my mentality.
Yeah.
Do you think being behind the plate and seeing a different angle of the game kind of elevated that play at the plate? You're seeing those tendencies from your guys. The pitch, how the game's being called. Did that kind of elevate that, or?
Oh, 100%. I think that it kind of hurt me physically over the season when it comes to the body fatigue a little bit and not being prepared for a full season as much as I should have been. If I would have had experience in that area, but I think that sort of seeing the game from a catcher and hearing Frank Anderson constantly having his strategy go through my head, it definitely helped me when it comes to using that to my advantage at the plate.
Is Frank a talker? Is he walking you through everything?
Oh, we're constantly talking strategy while there's a guy in the box. He would ask me what I think we should do here, and I would put my hand by my leg and sort of give him a sign what I think. And he'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's do that," or he'd tell me, this guy, he crushes change ups. Let's stay away from the change ups. And then I would sort of move my head inside, for a heater in, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I like that," and things like that. So we were constantly going back and forth of what we were thinking, just because he was a pitching guy, but I also could put myself in the hitter's shoes and say, "Hey, this guy's he's definitely cheating to a fastball right here. Let's, we got a guy like Camden Sewell on the mound that can flip in a breaker ball at will. Let's just get ahead in the count right here." Things like that. So it definitely helps having pitchers that can be versatile and flipping in off speed at any time they want and things like that. And that's what makes guys like Kirby Cannell so effective. But being able to play those mind games and do the hard part for the pitcher's mentality and let them just do their thing, it definitely helped.
I just thought about this. Catchers are like superheroes. They have the guy in the chair, calling everything, calling out, strategizing. That's awesome. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
And that's kind of what made last year so fun. And it makes me really upset with myself for not making that decision sooner in my career, because that was obviously it was a great season. We won 57 games, but being able to constantly be in the mix of things, using that strategy that I feel like was able to give us an advantage in some situations and just provide a huge part to winning some games was something that I wish I would have done sooner, where I could have done more of.
What was it like getting that first NIL deal? Was that like a surreal moment? You're like, dude, I'm getting paid to like play baseball at Tennessee.
I'll tell you what, it kind of made me have a mentality of super humble, but also like, I'm just a kid that, you see me walking down the street, you won't even have a clue who I am. So to have the opportunity for someone to think that, I was good enough to get something that was special just because I was playing a game, it was pretty neat. But also, it was almost shocking to me because I couldn't even comprehend a company wanting to reach out to me and do business with me just because I was good at baseball. So getting that
Weigel's?
opportunity.
Is that the first one?
Weigel's was actually the last one that I dealt with. Yeah, so I had a couple companies like Crockett Creek Beef Jerky, Whimsy Cookies. They reached out to me as well, and then Weigel's was a big one. But I had, I had 6 or 7. I had Marco Scarza reach out, and we did a deal with the law firm and things like that. So it was a pretty neat deal to get involved with the community and develop more relationships as well.
Is it weird now that you have to buy your own Tennessee gear?
Man, I was there there ain't no one that's ever played more games than me at Tennessee. So
you'll always probably have that record.
I don't see many people being able to beat it unless we go through another pandemic, which, hopefully that's all over with. But
yeah, please no.
I don't even know if playing the most games there is a flex because most of the time you want to get out of there by your junior year, but I'll definitely be able to say that I did it.
You're in the record books, baby. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and have you met these fans? That is, I think that's a positive. I mean,
yeah.
Peyton Manning's Peyton Manning because he came back. I mean,
right.
So I like it. I think it's a good record to hold, and I think you bring up a great point. If you ever do have to buy stuff, calling out the Vol Shop right now, there should be a discount code for Evan Russell.
Or maybe Zerk can hook you up.
I'll tell you what. Somebody sent me a picture of my jerseys were on clearance one day, and they were like, "This is exactly where they should be." Just messing around. But yeah, that's pretty good.
Soon you'll be in TJ Maxx, man.
Yeah.
With all the
we'll be able to get
jerseys
for $7.
Caleb, do you have any more questions? I got one more.
I think this is the most important. Okay. I think this is the most important question. I hope I'm not stealing it. How bad is Tony Vitello when he shaves? I mean, that's not a good look.
Tony Vitello does very well in that department. He's actually, for some reason, he's got such a bad rep when it comes to people attacking him personally and things like that. So whenever he does have a beard, I will say he does very well. And I think he should keep it. That is my vote that he should keep it. I think it makes him look a little more stern and like the manly appearance that he wants. But man, if he keeps going the way he's going in Knoxville, I guess he can do whatever he wants.
Absolutely.
Fair point.
So I guess I have 2 more questions now that we're talking about Tony Vitello. Who is a better pop-up time, you or Tony Vitello? Because after every hit or home run, Tony Vitello is beating the batter that just hit it to the baseline every time.
He's quick, ain't he?
Yeah.
Man, he is. I'll be watching some videos of some pretty big hits, and man, he busts out that dugout quicker than anyone else.
Yeah, you can't even get a bat flip off, and Tony Vitello's in the shot.
I'll tell you what, if you want to get under his skin, he does some things. During his free time, he'll go like jiu-jitsu and stuff like that just to stay in shape. And he has a lot of joy when it comes to the UFC and things like that. Just make a comment to him every now and then saying he's slow or he's sort of looking like he's losing a step or two on his quickness and things like that. And man, that'll get to him.
I think he was down the first baseline before Ross Kivett even knew it was a home run on Drew Gilbert's, though. To be fair, I mean, he was fast. He was almost in the stands before the ball was landed. He probably was. That ball was hit so far.
Yeah.
Well, I think he definitely knew that it was coming. He could sort of feel it, so he already had it planned out. Like, I'm about to get in the spot where the party's about to happen. Try to get us there with them frat guys.
Yeah, somebody should have had a funnel or something ready for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's no telling what he would have done in that moment.
All right, so last question. Again, Evan, appreciate you coming on. So going back to the Arkansas series in 2021, could you repeat what you said to the Arkansas dugout after the game?
You know, going back probably 20 years from now, I don't know if all that talk would have been done. I think we would have just threw the gloves down and got after it a little bit.
Yeah.
But the social media has definitely prevented that from happening just because of the suspensions and things like that. But that's another discussion. But I mean, that was such a tense series.
Oh yeah, the whole time.
And me and some guys like Jalen Battles and some of their big time players were very competitive. So whenever it got to some tense situations, we were jawing back and forth. And throughout that whole series, I was jawing in the outfield with their entire bullpen. It almost felt like every other pitch we were getting after a little bit. So whenever they beat us, I probably let my emotions get to me. I let the situation get to me, and it was anger. It angered me because that was our field. We had done well up until that series of taking care of it, and then they came in and they were the better team, and it was hard to swallow. But whenever someone waves by to you on your own field,
kind of digs deep. It made me think of, because you were about to take on the whole entire Arkansas team. It made me think of Bad News Bears when he's like, Tanner, what happened to you? He's like, I fought the 7th grade.
Yeah, that would have been one of those situations where, I mean, they would have had a heyday with me in the middle of the dog pile, and then I get up and I send my big brother Jordan Beck over to take care of him.
Yeah.
I love that.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, man, appreciate you coming on. This was a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again. And if you're ever in town, let us know. Happy to. We're usually there at some of the games, so if you're ever in town, let us know. And thank you for the best gift of all time. I use that twerking gif just about once a month, so it's my favorite of all time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that is. I feel like I'll see it every time we play Florida.
Yeah,
just because that's whenever it happens. So
yeah,
something to do with me against Florida. I guess that there is a little more.
Yeah. So Camden might be considered the
surface.
Gator killer, but you're right there with him.
I let Camden kill the Gators, and then I rub it in just a little bit while he does all the work.
Yeah. A little sidekick. Give me your lunch money, man. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Evan. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank y'all.
I do. Have a great night.
Yeah, y'all too.
That was VFL, Evan Russell. Shout out to Evan for coming on tonight, being with us. You can listen to him regularly on Mondays on the Tony Basilio show. I can't remember what time, so you will have to do that investigating yourself. I apologize. But you can catch him there at some point Monday. Shout out to him. Appreciate him being on. Like I said, one of the greats to don the orange. And
he acts like he's not, but he definitely is. He acts like people wouldn't notice him walking down the street. They absolutely would.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there is something to be said. I mean, one of my favorite comments is, he makes that point. They don't have to call me off the wall because I'm not the 4-hole hitter. I'm not Drew Gilbert, and I mean, yeah, Drew Gilbert's a first-round draft talent, and that's obviously you need him. But guys like Evan running at the wall and playing so many games in orange, coming back for another year, changing to catcher, like that's what makes him special, and that's why he's going to always be loved by Vol fans. And he is, and that's part of it. He's humble. I think that's part of why it's easy to cheer for him and love him. So
yeah, 100%. All right, so baseball.
Yeah, and we are going to talk a little bit about Boston College here on Tuesday night, and I think it's frustrating, and it's my fault. I shouldn't have gone to the game. Someone gave me porch seats, and I had fun sitting out there, but I shouldn't have gone. It's my fault.
Or was it my fault for making you do the hot dog review?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I'll
it
take
is your
some
fault.
blame too.
Which I've also I got to find out. I did not know ketchup on a hot dog wasn't a thing. That's new to me.
Yeah, definitely. Ketchup is a thing on a hot dog. Mayonnaise is not.
Maybe.
Whoever puts mayonnaise on a hot dog is a serial killer. That's gross.
And I don't know who said it either. Smoky dogs are the better ballpark dogs for sure. But that hot dog
Smoky dog isn't a like ballpark dog though.
Yeah, maybe not baseball ballpark dog, but it's a Tennessee dog.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, it's ballpark is just like fresh off the grill, like
the rollers. Don't get too excited.
Yeah, they're rollers, but still, you get it.
No, it was delicious. Not 9.7 on the way in, probably like a 7.6 on the way out. I mean, what else can you? Not bad.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is after dark.
Well, I mean, that's part of the rating, right? I believe it was Matt Roberts told me his son threw it back up coming out of the game. And, I didn't investigate that farther, but I'm going to guess he had more than 2 probably because listen, I'm a man. I'm going to just tell you guys, I make mistakes. I don't always do the right thing. I went to Dollar Dog Night at a Lady Vols game a couple years ago, soccer. I had about 5 dogs, and I was very sick that night.
Dang. That $5 bill just burning a hole in your pocket.
They were all good. All good going in, all bad coming back out.
That's why they were dollar. They got them at like the Dollar Tree.
Probably. I had food. I think I got food poisoning. I mean, it was bad.
Dang.
Yeah. I threw up it was before the Bama game in 2018. And I had to take my own toilet paper to the Alabama game, and we got our ass kicked. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it probably made you even more sick watching that game.
yeah. Thankfully, I was in the I was in the boxes that game, so I had a nice toilet, but I did have to take my own toilet paper.
Dang.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Mm-hmm. Brutal.
And also brutal. Go, kind of segueing into baseball a little bit. It was a game you should have won, and I hope Tennessee learns from it. That was a game that they're probably going to look back on and just be like, how did we let that slip away? And there was base running mistakes, sure, and that's what pops out to you on first when you look back on it. But Tennessee gave up 4 home runs, and it was on pitchers that they face a good part of our bullpen. They faced Lindsey, Halverson, Joyce, AJ Russell, Xander started. So it wasn't like we just pitched whoever. They saw some good arms and barreled up some balls, and that one that went 477 feet. Oh my God.
I was walking by their bullpen when he hit that one. My word. I mean, you saw that disappear into the night sky.
Yeah. Just a tough loss, but again, like those things happen. You miscommunicate a fly ball in the outfield that should have been. It has to be caught. The outfielder has to call off an infielder. That's baseball 101. That has to be caught. Tennessee, we kind of talked about it a little bit with Evan. Is like this team is different. Than last. We were spoiled. I'm not saying this team's bad or they don't have a chance to be like the team last year, but it's going to take a little bit more time. That team was kind of already set in stone, minus the pitchers. The pitchers were kind of all new, but they kind of meshed and, everything worked. It doesn't always work out that way. And when you're having, a totally new lineup without any kind of nucleus intact, I think it is kind of difficult. So, I'm not hitting the panic button. Things got to get fixed. But they also they weren't perfect last year either. They just had the lineup to mistakes like that didn't really matter. You're winning 12-4, 12-5. Those base running mistakes getting thrown out. there's guys that can make up for it, so it didn't matter. But this team's different. They don't hit 1 through 9. Can't hit a ball. That's just facts.
Well, I think too. I mean, you saw them hit enough runs to win most ball games on any given night. I mean, it wasn't hitting runs necessarily. That was the only issue Tuesday night. Now, obviously, you can go back to your TCU and Arizona loss and say that for sure. But I mean, even that situation, that's obviously base running errors, but it's also just kind of digging in, finding ways to win. I mean, even some defensive mistakes you let up, or maybe not mistakes isn't the right word, but maybe just not completely ready to win in those situations that allow Boston College to get back out in front. And it's just I do believe it's a learned thing in any sport that when breaks don't go your way, you got to find a way to bow up and make the simple plays. I mean, that's the thing too, is that base running error on Dickey's papa, or what should have been a sack fly. Just, it's bad, and you got to find a way to do those simple things right, because they matter all throughout the game, but especially there in the 9th inning. We had teed up for a walk off, and you couldn't get it.
Well, yeah, and when you look back on it, it's like Tennessee was like this close on so many different scenarios. Like Jared Dickey's home run, Tennessee probably wins that game if Jared Dickey's home run is called. If they call it fair to begin with, it's a fair ball. Which,
I mean, I think everybody kind of agreed. Like, I don't know if that's fair or foul. That's tough. I mean, he just hit a freaking moonshot.
Right. Yes, it was too high to really know where it was and where it went out. But, you had that, and like they played that 5 infielder set with 2 outfielders playing in the gaps. Jared Dickey's it's a double to the wall if they're not playing in that. I mean, it was just like the perfect scenario for that.
I meant to ask Evan Russell. I mean, I just can't remember a team. I mean, just about every batter they had some kind of shift in for. It was, honestly, good scouting. I mean, seriously. They had a lot of guys in the right position. I thought it was very interesting. I'm kind of curious to see if other teams are brave enough to attack it, because you've already seen maybe not shifts that severe, but Tennessee be able to beat the shift on with some certain guys. So I'm kind of curious to see if anybody else tries to do that going forward, or what that looks like after seeing Boston College be successful. But I mean, I would think that's the most shifts I've ever seen a team play against Tennessee.
Yeah, and that thing right there, it doesn't happen if Blake Burke stops at second. I'm not saying, he was safe at third. You'd rather have your guy on third than second, 100 with no outs, game-winning run, 100%. But I'm just saying, if he's at second, they're probably a normal, and that's a hit. That's a you win the game that way. So I mean, there was just different opportunities, different situations where things probably could have went differently and didn't. And
Blake Burke's 3 feet from a home run in the 7th inning too.
Yeah.
I mean, off the bat, if the wind's blowing like it was in the 1st and 2nd inning, off the bat, that thing's on the 2nd deck of the porch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zane Denton had one that was pretty far. I mean, it just, again, things didn't go their way. It happens. Don't hit the panic button. Stanford lost to Santa Clara that same night, 10-5. Wake Forest lost to Coastal Carolina, 13-11. Vanderbilt goes 17 innings with Evansville last night. I mean, it just, teams get up for those games, and you got to have, like Tony Vitello, some grit and determination to win those games like that. And Tennessee just didn't have enough of it on Tuesday night. But again,
Blake Burks have been a 3-run homer. Is that right? Are there 2 on?
I don't remember.
I can't remember either. I think it would have been, which you got to assume you win that game. I was impressed with Boston College's ability to hit the ball. So, I mean, you never know.
Yeah, and that's kind of been weird. It's like every team that we've played has barreled up some balls. I don't know if it's just the sound of the bat, but it just seems like everybody is barreling up some balls.
Tennessee is, they always have with Frank Anderson, they attack the strike zone, which I mean usually means more hittable balls. So I'm sure that kind of plays into it a little bit. I mean, and you saw like Chad Dallas is a guy you always knew, somebody on that team was going to get one off of him. Sometimes 2 guys on that team were going to get one off of him. He was usually able to limit them to singles or solo home runs, and so it never killed you. But I mean, he's just one of those guys that was going to make you beat him. He wasn't going to put you on base, and sometimes that kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I mean, they just got to figure out they got to get more hitters in the bottom of the lineup. It can't be so top heavy, and they've done a little bit of better job with that, moving Dickey back to fifth and Griffin Merritt at sixth, Maui Hoon at first. But it's still a little top heavy for my liking, and the lineup isn't set in stone either. Like, there's still guys fighting for spots and guys on their heels. Like Dylan Dreiling, he's a guy that, like,
you might see more of him.
It's going to be really hard for me to keep him out of the lineup. I mean, anytime he's in, he's doing something. He's hitting the ball hard somewhere, or he's getting a hit. I don't know how great his glove is, but he seems like a good athlete. So I don't think that would be a huge issue. But right now with Tennessee's the pitchers of the way that they are, I think the lineup is definitely hitting wise is definitely what you want to build up at this point. And so Dylan Dreiling is a guy that I'm like, that's going to be hard for me to keep him out.
Right. Guys, Sunday, Dylan and Landon will get. Sunday we'll talk more about weekend series and it's more at the state, but Monday, bat flip, dig in a little bit deeper, all baseball.
Yeah.
So make sure you tune in for that.
Yeah, it's been fun. Also, trying to get a sponsor for that. So if you know anybody, let us know. We'd love to have a sponsor for just that show. So hit us up. We'll get it done. Guys, if y'all want to hop in here, we'll do some stupidities real quick. I just want to start on one because I feel like it's going to take a little bit of time. And
okay.
That is Kendrick Perkins. Did you see this?
I saw the apology, I think. So
basically what he was saying on First Take, which First Take is just like it's a hot take thing. It's not real news, anything like that. And JJ Redick was happy to point that out. But basically Kendrick Perkins said that Jokic is only winning the MVP award because the people who vote for the NBA MVP are 80% white. But the bad thing about it, like he said it, but he had zero backup, like to stats or anything to back it up. Like, it was awful. And JJ Redick was like, "That's not true." We kind of called him out a little bit, and I'm not going to get into the race thing, but man, if you have a take like that, have a little bit of something behind it to back it up. But then ESPN came out, or I guess Molly, the First Take, came out and said ESPN would like to apologize. What Kendrick Perkins said was not true. And it's like, when you have to have a formal apology, something you said was not true, it must have been way off.
Why did they not have him apologize?
I don't know. That was weird too.
They just took him. You're done. You just don't.
At the end, he was like, JJ, I ain't got a problem with you. I think it is a conversation that need to be had. And JJ was like, "Yeah, we're good. I still don't know why you said it.
You're wrong."
That's
just an interesting take for so many reasons. A lot of black athletes have won MVP in the NBA.
I mean, the best NBA players are black.
Yeah, that seems like an insane stat. Like,
he pointed out like Steve Nash and Dirk. Like, he had to go back that far to point out a freaking white NBA.
I mean, Larry Bird won the MVP. He had no business.
Yeah, it's like
they even heard of Magic
Did you
Johnson?
see that, Joe? I think you're muted.
I think you're muted, Joe.
I got you.
Okay, I don't know why that happened. I thought I was dead in here. Yeah, I don't follow NBA that much, but I know like JJ Redick started jumping into the whole other side of it, the entertainment realm. I mean, Kendrick Perkins got owned. I mean, JJ Redick came with the facts on live television, and
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I think Mac McClung started this with the dunk contest problem, and that's just I'm gonna stay out of it. But
all right, this is
hot take.
I mean, your fault.
Hot takes, but yeah, I mean.
Is Kendrick Perkins mad that he never won MVP? Because let's be he was horrible.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Hold on. Horrible.
Kendrick Perkins is just a mad person in general.
He's just a what?
He has nothing but work it takes. He's just a mad person in general.
No, that was I would like to hear, did he just make up that statistic on the spot, or did he like find it somewhere? That's what I would like to know.
He said
Yeah,
that he said that black athletes have been dealing with this for decades.
Not getting MVP votes?
Yeah, and JJ Redick was like, I can't speak on everybody's experience, but I know that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like they haven't had these troubles with racism and all. Like, I'm not saying that, but not gotten MVP votes, that's just patently false.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's just not true.
I mean, the best players of all time, all black.
Good point.
Top 5 players are all black, right? Would anybody have?
I don't know. I guess I mean, it depends on who you ask, probably, but I would think almost everybody's, or yeah, I would think.
Who's your top 5, Landon?
Landon's going to get us all on stupidity. It's 4 white guys looking at each other talking about this. Like, I mean, we can't win. I don't know what Landon wants us to say.
My top 5 would be in no order. I'm not going to say order because that just leads to another.
If you
debate.
say the first name I think you're going to say first, though, you are saying in order. So just think about it carefully.
I'm going to go Kareem, Magic, LeBron, MJ, and probably Shaq.
See?
Dude, Shaq was such a G. That is someone who does not get enough credit. He did when he played, but he doesn't get talked about now as one of the greats.
Well, like, I just think that he's such a good person. Like, even now, like, he's made such a name for himself that it's like, how could you ever say anything? Like, no one says anything bad about Shaq.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't think he gets. I mean, I'm glad you said his name, but I don't know if I would have said it in my top 5 off the head. He definitely got it when he's playing. Don't get me wrong; like, he was super respected, but his name is not thrown out in that conversation.
Yeah, and
he kind of like elevated, like I mean, Shaq doesn't look like a guy that could just go out there and hoop, and he could.
And a lot of people want to put Kobe in there, and like, I love Kobe too, but sorry, he's not top 5. Anybody who puts him in top 5 is a damn liar and a moron.
I don't know if I could go that far. I mean, I'm not saying he's like, yes, top 5.
He's not top 5. It's facts.
Who's that, Kobe?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a hard stance to say he can't be. Like, there's no reason someone should have him in his top 5. That's my point.
Well,
people
only have him because, like,
I don't know what you expected.
He was like everybody's favorite player, but he's like statistically, he's not a top 5 player.
I feel like team sports are different to gauge. Like, everyone does these conversations, especially, I mean, football and basketball the most, but it's kind of like, in terms of gauging the greatest player versus the greatest, like, most successful versus greatest is always like the issue, I guess, in terms of, like, we're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's
just like Tom Brady's not. I mean, a hot take, but Tom Brady's not like the most well-rounded athlete. Like, he's just not. He's not like the greatest.
Yeah, 40 time he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's not some stellar quarterback that has like the most greatest athlete skill. This is where I got an argument, and of course I'm totally biased. But if you're talking about like the greatest like athlete within each sport, like on a level, Tiger's got to be like that. I know that's so like crazy, and it's an individual sport, so way easier to tell. But out of all like the records and stats, like I'll always, but like no, people are like, if you want to talk about the greatest athlete, like you're gonna have to like no, it's not hard to golf. Like you don't have to be ripped, you don't have to jump. You can be John Daly and smoke cigarettes and drink Diet Cokes. Like you can, it's cool, but
actually Joel, I don't know how to. Yeah, he's the greatest golfer of all time.
I'm with that. I'm cool with that. Cool guy. Drinking White Claws before his second round.
Yeah. Dude, Joel Damon's the best. He plays with a hybrid from high school, I think, or college one. Yeah, he's the best.
I would love to play.
I think his caddy had to find it on eBay because he cracked the old hybrid, and they don't make it. I can't remember what brand it is, but it's not PXG. Yeah.
Yeah, his caddy committed like really aggressively to. I don't know if you watched the show, but he like lived out of his car for like 8 months, just like some awful car. I mean, respect. That's trust.
That's an awesome show too. I'm not even a golf guy, and it kind of turned me into at least a semi.
Yeah,
you are now.
Huge golf guy. I love the small balls.
It's almost April.
Any more stupidity
this weekend?
What?
The players this weekend?
Oh, what'd you ask me though?
I was just saying that you said it's almost April. I was like, the players this weekend, TPC.
Oh yeah. No, we're in a good stretch of golf. I watched today.
Yeah.
I got money on Colin Morikawa. So, come on.
Is he leading right now? Going?
He's one back. It's
okay.
Like, I forget the guy who's in first 8 under. I don't think he's going to be able to finish through for 4 rounds. But
I mean, going wire to wire is stupid hard. So I'm glad he's not in first.
Yeah. See, that's all it takes. Caleb, if you didn't have any,
I've got one. It's Pete Prisco, and he actually quote tweeted me. Let's see how many likes I got. 6. How many followers does he have? He's got 116,000 followers. He said if Will Levis went to Alabama or Ohio State, he'd be a slam dunk as a top pick in the draft. Will Levis wouldn't have played at Alabama or Ohio State.
That's a good point.
And I just said my word. All I said was, like, everyone had already said their pieces. Like, I couldn't have added anything. So I just tweeted at him. It was like, my word, the ratio. And he quote tweeted. It was like, all idiots. I mean, I went back and looked. He was all up on Sam Darnold. I'm sure there's other bad takes I could have found. But I was like, it's enough for me to know this guy's an idiot. Yeah, but then, I mean, some people responded. They're like, he didn't even start at Penn State over Sean Clifford. And he was like, Joe Burrow didn't start at Ohio State. But he won a national championship at LSU. Like, this guy couldn't beat Tennessee. What are we doing?
Also, Joe, what do you put on a hot dog?
Okay, yeah, I want to talk about this because I felt bad because it wasn't like – so there's this guy. It's like this whole thing with the Phillies. He's like this crazy, douchey Delco Philly fan. And it's like this whole thing that you just like don't put ketchup on a hot dog and that's the right answer. But like – and I don't, but – the moment I said that, I was thinking about it, and I've kind of thought about it for the past couple of days. Like, I'm really ketchup on it now because, like, I know it's like not that bad, but then I was like, dude, it sounds like I'm kind of sick of like old just mustard. So I'm gonna go ahead and revoke that original stance and I'll allow it. But I don't know. I think I was feeling a little fired up that night, so I just got a little heavy on the Twitter thing.
Ketchup mustard's the move. I'll tell you, it makes for a good dog. Now, if you go chili, you either go nothing or mustard only. You don't go ketchup on chili.
You go relish?
I'm not a relish guy. I've tried it and I just can't do it.
Relish sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Glad we're all on the same page.
I'm also not. I don't like. I can only do like chili. Chili is the most I can do on a hot dog. I know there's Tommy Trent's. Has all those like loaded dogs, and I just don't. I can't enjoy a hot dog's a hand food. If I have to eat it with a fork and knife, I'm not eating it.
It's true.
Wait, say that again.
Like Tommy Trent's, they have those like loaded dogs, but you have to you can't eat them with your hands, and so I can't do hot dogs that way. Like Skyline chili, I can never have a hot dog from Skyline.
Yeah, it's hard to eat those in one bite.
You eat a hot dog in one bite?
I wasn't talking about you, but yeah.
You do?
No, I do not.
I'm proud of you. That's impressive. You're just guzzling glizzies.
Yeah, the glizzy gobbler. I do have one. Since it's after dark, I'm just gonna go right at it. Jeremy Banks. No, I'm kidding. But in fairness, like on a kind of weird lateral to that, what is John Moran doing? Like between him, Joe Mixon, I don't know if that was actually a real story, but apparently like shooting kids with Nerf guns.
Joe Mixon was doing that. That's kind of
Well, remind me of that story. I can't remember it now.
I think I saw something today that said like they had to like take that original statement back because he might not have like been actually involved or whatever. But apparently, like at his house, some kids were playing with a BB gun outside, and the report said he thought it was a real gun, like shot at the kids or whatever. Which is like it's such an insane thing.
What did Nerf? It was Nerf guns.
I think it said Nerf guns, but there's no way you can mistake it. That's what's making me question. But I'm assuming Joe Mixon has to live in like a nice neighborhood. But does he think that there's just like a bunch of like 8-year-old kids running around and he's got the John Moran in him where he thinks that he lives in the hood still. And he's just like, yo, like come running up on my 5-acre front yard. I'll like Nerf gun, don't even try me.
Yeah, jeez. Was it just a warning shot? Because that's fair. If they get too close to the property and he fires off a warning shot, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, no,
He's an NFL player and it's 2 8-year-old kids, Landon. If he can't take them out with his bare hands,
Hey, you can't trust.
Oh, trust me, he can. I've seen the video. He can do it with his bare hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, John Moran, if you want to switch places with me, you can come be the thug.
Producer of more important issues.
Oh yeah,
we allow guns. We allow guns in strip clubs. You won't get suspended if you. Yeah, we allow it on this show.
Yeah, would John Moran do well in your frat?
No. Not speaking.
Why do you take a gun to a strip club? What's the goal?
I get it for someone that's not like with a security personnel and a whole bunch I don't know. I'm sure that's like a place where some stuff goes down sometimes, but
you're probably not even getting in with the gun.
I mean, have we not watched the news like the past 3 weeks? Like strip clubs are not the place you want to be. Alvin Kamara, Jalen Carter. I mean, do not go to a strip club.
He makes enough money to bring the strip club to himself.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Unless that strip club's called Wiggins, I ain't going.
That's the funny part is it's like he's got the choice. He's like, well, man, strip clubs are seeming really dangerous and I can get in a lot of trouble right now. Should I not go or should I just bring my pistol? And he's like, no, obviously I'm still going to go. That decision was not really intact.
Also, the security person must be ass.
Yeah,
they must be that. They must got the Vanderbilt security patting them down.
Dude, last time I went through an airport on the way to Vegas, I mean, that girl got up in I was like, whoa, you're going to have to pay for that next time. I mean, I don't know if I got profiled or what, but there's no way I was getting anything in there. I mean, and this was like a 5'0" TSA agent. That person at the strip club couldn't check John Moran better than that.
Yeah.
Dude, McGee Tyson must be on something because my brother said the same thing happened to him.
Well, he looks like
he got searched though, didn't he? Didn't he get completely searched?
Yeah, they pulled his pants down.
Well, I just
stepped out of the X-ray.
Mark on his hands, and so they were like, "What's on your hands?" And then my brother probably said some dumb shit, and it went down the wrong path. Real quick. I'm definitely not faulting McGee Tyson. I'm just saying, it seemed like there could be a trend.
Yeah, then Las Vegas had. I don't know if I felt any safer. They had dogs not sniffing for bombs, but training to sniff for bombs.
Yeah, that was weird.
So I was like, I mean, what is a training dog's hit rate? Because if it's 0%, we're in trouble, boys.
Yeah.
Well, you also don't have to train in live action. You can simulate that pretty easily, I feel like.
Dude, there was one dog pulling on the trainer's leash. He was choke. He looked like my dog when I was walking in. It's like, good Lord, what stage is he in?
Those things scare me every time, dude. I know, I mean, I don't have any drugs on me, but I try to question if I do or not because I'm like, I'm full out running 444.
Yeah, I mean, what if you run by yourself down the wrong homeless person and they sneeze some on you?
It's a Dave Chappelle skit. Sprinkle a little crack.
You just walk behind the dog tackles you. That would have been hilarious if we would have been there and Jordan would have got tackled by that dog. I mean, I would have lost it.
I tried to pet a dog in Denver. I wasn't in the best frame of mind, and it was a real, they were just walking around in a circle. It wasn't like out in Vegas, and I wasn't even thinking. I just saw a dog, and I was like, "Hey, buddy," and just kind of reached out for him to sniff me, and the guy was like, "Don't pet the dog." I mean, I see a good boy, I boop. I don't know what you want me to do. Yeah, good Lord.
Did you miss
bring these cute dogs?
The entire police uniform sitting next to him, or was it just more like a?
I mean, I just wasn't I wasn't thinking.
It's a human instinct. See a dog, you gotta pet it. That's just, simple creature.
Any more stupidities before I tell on myself anymore?
That's all I got.
All right.
It's way after dark.
Guys, it's been fun. Evan Russell, the Vol.
Yeah, notice him on the streets. He doesn't think he gets noticed on the streets. He definitely will. So shout out Evan Russell. Shout out Vol Baseball. Shout out Vol Basketball. Back tomorrow against Missouri. And we'll be back on Sunday talking about hopefully an SEC championship that day. And we're bringing the boat in, and we out.